Hey guys, it's Jamie Garanciotis. We're back again, Engage TV, New York City for BlogWorld 2011. First time it's in New York. I'm really lucky right now to be joined by Arik Hanson, co-founder of HAPPO. Arik, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First day of the conference was yesterday, first time in New York. What were your impressions?
Right, well, bigger point was first time in New York. Big city, but lots of walking. My kind of city, I like to get around on foot. And got a chance to explore Times Square and whatnot, so walked by MSG last night, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, conference, first time we're holding it here in New York. I'm sure just like when we had in Vegas, it'll build over time, but I feel like the content that we have here this year has been pretty solid, so hopefully that'll attract a bigger audience next year.
Absolutely, there were some great content sessions yesterday. You had a chance to sit through quite a lot of them. What were some of the highlights for you and perhaps some of the trends or key themes that you saw out of those sessions?
Well, I thought Christopher Penn's session on face-backed analytics was really interesting. He talked a lot about the feedback loop that's created by installing Facebook analytics on your site, insights on your site. So he flew through a lot of stuff that I was like, I would have wanted like a half-day session with them, like a workshop session almost with them. I thought that was really good. My friend Lee Oden, who's from Minnesota, so I have to thank the Minnesota guys, did a nice job as always, and I know he's always going to knock it out of the park, and he had some great insights to share about the intersection between social and search, which as a PR guy, our industry doesn't always get that all that well, so I think that's a message and a content worth sharing more.
Fantastic, so shout out to all our friends in Minnesota. Talking about HAPPO now, obviously PR, social media for the graduates and also for the professionals. What was the inspiration behind you and the co-founders actually putting HAPPO together?
Right, well, interesting you should mention the co-founder because Valerie Simon, who lives here in New York, New Jersey actually, founded it with me, and I've never met Valerie face-to-face, so I'll meet her for the first time face-to-face tomorrow. So that's exciting for me this week. But inspiration, the world was different. We started that about a year ago in February, and the market was a little bit different. People were still struggling getting jobs, and Valerie and I at the time were like, we always say we want to do something to help, but then it just slips by and we get busy with things, so we never do it. So damn it, let's do something. So we knew we couldn't do it by ourselves though. So we knew all these PR bloggers, so we asked this legion, or at least a core group of PR bloggers to join us at the outset and do this with us and together. So again, it wasn't Valerie and I doing it. It was 20 plus people from all markets across the country, and they said yes, and then it kind of just grew from there. Then all of a sudden we had people approaching us saying, hey, I want to help. So it was cool to see it snowball, but the genesis was really just we want to help people find jobs, find mentors, make new connections, and just
So how do you think that this legion of fans or brand champions came on board so quickly? How did it grow and snowball so quickly? I mean, obviously, you're both extremely well known in the social space and in the PR scene.
Yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it had more to do with the fact that people just want to help, and the ask wasn't that great. It was like, well, all we're asking you to do is join us in this and help other people. Like, that's not like, I'm not asking you for money, I'm not asking you to sell anything. I'm just asking you to help someone else. Like, that's not that hard of an ask, and it's really hard to say no to. So there's actually, the interesting thing about the HAPPO thing for me is there's been a lot of learnings as we've gone through it that I've been able to apply to client work.
Right.
So, and that being one of them, is you got to make the ask really easy and make it so they can't say no. And that was an easy one. It was more of a personal event, but I think that's why it grew.
Yeah, that's some great advice for us there. We're talking more about the PR and communications industry when we talk about HAPPO. Have you seen it cross over into any other industries yet? Can you see it crossing over more into the mainstream, these communities?
You mean the HAPPO concept specifically?
Yeah, the concept.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, there's been some interesting discussions about people starting different branches off of HAPPO. For example, we had someone approach us a while ago saying, what would be really interesting is if we had the same kind of HAPPO concept, except for matching PR people up with nonprofits that need help. So again, it's doing something to help, but it's also giving a PR person, so maybe it's a junior PR person that needs experience with a nonprofit that definitely needs help, no matter what level it's at. So, stuff like that's popped up, and stuff like that happens. It's not like, you know, Valerie and I or any of the HAPPO chiefs, we don't control the brand, you know? So it's like, it's a great idea. You should explore it. And if you need help, just let us know. So that kind of stuff's popped up, but nothing's really materialized. But that said, you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely, you never know what's around the corner. A huge part of its success and ongoing success for HAPPO and also for communities, obviously, is building and maintaining that community. As a kind of parting thought, I guess, what do you think, particularly kind of in this social space and this communications environment that we live in now, what is the key factor to building and maintaining the community?
Building and maintaining the community. Well, I think, you know, in the early days of, I guess if you want to call it social media, Scott Monty always had a quote, is like, I think it was 95 or 90% of social media is just showing up. And I think that's kind of what community building is, just showing up. So like Valerie and I, and admittedly Valerie much better at the community managing than I am, but she's present every day. Like she manages the HAPPO Twitter account, and she's on that thing every day. And actually I try to share at least, my goal is to share at least 1 or 2 jobs every day. So I figure if I do that on Twitter, and then I do my HAPPO stuff. I do a ton of HAPPO stuff offline that no one sees. And that's kind of the spirit of HAPPO, right? It's like, you don't do it for the credit. You do it because you want to help. Absolutely. So, I mean, 2 people recently got jobs, you know, due to, you know, connections that I kind of facilitated at some point. So I try to do that whenever I can. And not because I'm looking for something in return, just because that's what we're supposed to do, right? That's the whole spirit of the organization. So, I don't know if there's any secrets to community building, but I think most of it's just showing up.
As Gary Vaynerchuk said last night, you know, you got to get out there and hustle.
Right, you got to hustle your butt off, right?
You can read about push-ups all you want, but you got to get out there and actually do it.
Right, yeah, get some good quotes around that.
Fantastic. Now we can find you at Arik Hanson.
Yes.
For those who haven't checked out HAPPO, we can find it at.
Right. The best place to go is just follow the hashtag on Twitter at just HAPPO. Or the LinkedIn group is the other place we try to drive people, just because that's the best networking site, professionally, obviously, for people connecting and mentors and jobs, hopefully down the line. So
fantastic. Well, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. Also, highly recommend you follow Arik and also BWENY if you're not already. Arik, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries.